Hi, this is John Williams of Screwwork Let's Play, and today I want to talk about what makes a good idea. That's an idea that you're going to love working on and which can make you some real money. This is something I've only really gone into in depth in my paid programs like the Idea Lab until now, but I found it to be so powerful, the people on those programs, that I want to share it more broadly. And what I've noticed over the last 10 years of working with people on their careers and with starting a business is that some people seem to make great progress. They seem to choose something that really works for them and that takes off and starts making them money. They get to quit their job and do what they love and make a good living out of it. And other people never seem to get anywhere. And so I became curious about the difference between those two groups and what was happening, what was going on with what they chose to pursue that made the difference. What I worked out is there seemed to be a formula for those people who were succeeding, who'd chosen an idea that really worked. And I called this the Paycheque formula. There are 4 elements in it. And the elements are a little like the tumblers in a lock. Once you have all of them in place, it unlocks and you are immediately making money doing what you love. And for those people who are missing any one of the elements, they didn't get to do that. So what are the elements? Well, firstly, it's worth saying that people at the beginning often start at the wrong place. They think about the 4th and final element, which is the offer. That's what is this thing called and how much do I charge for it and who's going to buy it. Those are very valid things to consider later on, but if you try and start there, everything's going to collapse. That's why so many people get stuck. Instead, you need to start at the opposite end, right at the beginning. The first element is called energy. This is about choosing something which energizes you, something which you're excited to do, something that you're going to enjoy doing and that you care about. Now, you're not going to love every single moment of your work, whatever it is, no matter how fantastic it is. But overall, is this something you care about, something that drives you, something that draws you in, or is it something you just chosen because you think it's going to be lucrative? If you do that, if you choose something just because it's lucrative, it pretty much never works. And several very successful people have said exactly that. Neil Gaiman, the very successful novelist, has said, whenever I did something just for the money, I ended up not succeeding and not even getting the money either. So energy is your foundation for everything else. And once you've got some idea of the things you enjoy doing and you care about and that energize you, then you move on to the next element, because doing something you love tends to lead to you developing skill in it. Now, I've used the term genius just to be a bit provocative, because I'm using this in the broadest sense of the term. This is both skills, practical things you've learnt in your work, subject matter expertise that you've developed over several years in your work or perhaps in your personal life. But it's also the kind of things you've been doing since you were a child. If you're somebody who is great at talking to people and making connections with them, you've probably been chattering away since you were 2 years old or since you were in the playground. If you like to get up and move around and explore things and make things happen, you've probably been doing that since you were a very young child. And if you love reading and absorbing information and researching and synthesizing it all, you've probably been reading books for many hours a day ever since you learned to read. So these are the kind of things that are often not caught by school, not seen by a traditional CV, that are actually a fundamental part of who you are. They're part of the genius you bring to your own business idea. So when you have energy for something and you have some skills, some talents, some genius for it, then you can create something valuable. The value element is really critical. It doesn't mean you value it, it means other people value it. It's not enough to have passion for something. It's not even enough to have a whole bunch of skills. You've got to take your passion and your skills and abilities and put them into something that's valuable to other people. I have a passion for watching The Simpsons. I love it. And I've even amassed a great catalogue of lines from The Simpsons in my head that I can quote to you. However, no one's about to start paying me for such a thing. It doesn't have an awful lot of value to other people, apart from being mildly entertaining when I can draw out the right line at the right moment. But if I can take something from The Simpsons, from the story of how Matt Groening created The Simpsons, if I can take some of the same feel of rebelliousness, of cheekiness, of saying things that other people don't want to say, and put that into a book or into my brand in what I do, then there is some value for other people, and that can turn into something that actually makes money. It's funny how we get caught up on money and we think about what can we sell and who's going to buy and what's going to make the most money and what's got a good rate. Those questions are valid, but it's kind of putting the focus on the wrong place if you do that too soon. Because until you've got something people appreciate, there's really very little point considering it. You've got to get to the point where you've got something that people really want and really value, and that you know you can give that to them. And you know you've created something of value when people tell you. You generate excitement and interest in other people when you create something valuable. So you might be writing a blog on a particular topic. It might be some niche area of parenting or of natural health or of software and technology or whatever it might be. And suddenly, after doing it for several weeks or months, you start to get some comments and you get people engaging with you and sharing your posts, and you know you've hit a topic or you've hit your stride, and people are starting to really get interested and find it really valuable. That's what we're talking about here. You can go out and give 5 different talks or run 5 different kinds of class. You can create 5 different software apps or websites, and suddenly 1 or 2 of them will take off. Even if they're free, that's a sign that you've hit something valuable, and that's a good indicator that you're going to be able to make some money out of it. Because if you can create something of real value to the world, then there is almost always a way to make some money, even if you have to change the form of it or perhaps change the market that you're speaking to about it. So if you put your focus on value, you'll be a lot better off. In fact, the founder of Y Combinator, which is one of the most, it's been voted, I think, the best startup accelerator in the world by Forbes magazine. Paul Graham, who is one of the original co-founders, says that he has 2 rules for startups right at the beginning. One is make something good. In fact, make something people want. That's about the value element. And the second point is don't worry too much about money at the beginning. Now, of course, he's investing in companies he wants to see them make money, and in fact, many of his companies have gone on to make many, many millions of dollars, companies like Dropbox and Scribd. But at the beginning, if you know you can make something good and people are sharing it with others and it's popular, that's a very good sign you're going to be able to find some way to monetize it. And that brings us on to our next element. This is the offer we saw a moment ago, but this is the time to think about it. How can you package the value you've been sharing with people? Maybe you've been writing that blog, or you've been giving talks, or you've been working with individuals, helping with a particular area, or you've been helping out freelance at a corporation you used to work for, and you're starting to get interest from other places, showing that you're providing some real value. Then how do you package that into an offer? What's the name? What do you call this thing that you're doing? How are you going to deliver it? Are you going to deliver it one-to-one? Are you going to do a group training? Are you going to create some software platform that people can use to get this kind of thing that this thinking that you've developed, but do it automatically over the web? Maybe you're going to write a book. Maybe you take some of your blog post elements, some of your blog posts, put it into a book, add some other content, make a coherent narrative throughout, and package that into a book that people can buy. So that even if you've been doing things for free, when it's been showing value, there are ways to then turn it into an offer that people can buy and you can monetize. When you've got each of these elements, you are then making money, doing something you love doing, but use your best talents that has real value to the world. That's the way everyone should be making a living as much as possible. And it's a key if you're going to transition from the world of employment, where your only customer is your boss, to the point where you're going to work for yourself, have real freedom, and be able to do something you really care about. And what's great is that once these four elements are in place, it's funny how sometimes the last stage can come quite quickly and then the money comes in. You're actually making some money. Now there's a question after this of, there's the whole subject matter of marketing, which is stuff I work with people on as well in my business, which is how do you take that proposition that really works, that you know people value and that people are willing to buy, and then get the message out there and communicate it to a much larger audience. But if you can do it once, you can get people buying it, at least in a test sample, you're on the right track. Now if you're looking at this and thinking, okay, how on earth do I find all these? It sounds complicated. Start at the beginning. That's why it's a pyramid shape. It's designed like that because you start at the beginning where energy is. That's your foundation. Then you move up to, once you've got an idea of what you could enjoy doing, all the different things you enjoy doing that energize you rather than drain you, then that's going to help you produce, you put your skills into practice. In actual fact, the more you like something, the more you do it, the better you tend to get. So energy and genius are very tightly pulled together. Bear in mind that if you've got to develop a whole load of new skills for this new business or new idea, it's going to take longer than if you can use a whole bunch of skills that you've developed before, either in your work or in your personal life and hobbies. So the more you can bring energy and genius straight away, the quicker you're going to be able to create value. Once you can create value, then you can think about, how do I package this? And you can be creative about it. There are lots of different ways. You could sell pretty much anything you can think of in a myriad of different ways, and it depends on what suits you and what's likely to make you the most money. But it's easy to get hung up on this. It's easy to think, okay, well, that's a long way to go. I got to think about this. And I really want to say something extremely important here. Don't think it out. Don't sit there and imagine that if you ponder it long enough, you're going to find a solution. What you need to do is play it out. What that means is you get out into the outside world and you interact with it and you do stuff and you notice what happens. So you get out and experiment. You try seeing if maybe a friend will hire you to do this service that you want to provide. Maybe a corporation you used to work for might hire you to do something as a little test project, or you could do it while you're still in your job and say, hey, can I volunteer to get involved with the training department, or get involved with the customer service department, or try leading a workshop for the staff, whatever it is you want to do. Test it and try it out. Do I like it? Does this have energy for me? Is this using some good skills and talents of mine? Are people giving me good feedback and saying, hey, you're on this is really interesting here, you're good at this thing? And then you might be ready to go out there and try and sell it. And when you sell it, are people buying it? Who is buying it? When do they buy it? So the whole thing is an experience you have to be out in the world to really get. You can't sit at home and ponder it all through. So I hope that's helped. This is something I've not shared before publicly. It's only been in my paid programs. And if you follow this process and look for those 4 elements in what you're doing, then hopefully you're going to get to the point where you can get paid to play too. Good luck.